Welcome to the Inspiring Tech Leaders podcast with me, Dave Roberts. Anthropic has officially launched Claude Fable 5, the first publicly available model from its highly anticipated Mythos family. For months, Mythos has been surrounded by speculation, excitement and concern. Governments, cybersecurity experts, researchers and technology leaders have all been talking about it. Some have described it as a significant leap forward in artificial intelligence capabilities. Others have raised serious questions about safety, transparency, and what happens when AI systems become exceptionally powerful. Today I'll explore what Claude Fable 5 actually is, why Anthropic created two different versions of the same technology, why some experts believe the hype may be exceeding reality, and what technology leaders should learn from this latest chapter in the AI race. Let's start with the basics. Anthropic describes Claude Fable 5 as a Mythos-Class model. That phrase is important because it represents a new category of AI capability within Anthropic's portfolio. According to the company, Fable 5 exceeds the capabilities of its previous generation models in areas including software engineering, scientific reasoning, complex analysis, and autonomous task execution. The model has been designed to tackle lengthy, sophisticated tasks that previous systems would struggle to complete consistently. However, Fable 5 isn't the full Mythos model. Behind the scenes sits Claude Mythos 5, a more powerful version that Anthropic is only making available to a carefully selected group of trusted organizations, researchers, and government partners. Anthropic says Mythos 5 demonstrates particularly strong capabilities in cybersecurity, biology, and healthcare applications. The company has also chosen not to release the capabilities broadly because it believes it could potentially be misused. This creates a fascinating situation. For perhaps the first time, we have a major AI company openly admitting that the model available to the public is intentionally restricted. Anthropic say Fable 5 and Mythos 5 share the same core architecture, but Fable includes additional safeguards, behavioral restrictions designed to prevent misuse in sensitive domains. This is interesting because for years, technology companies have competed by showcasing more capability, more intelligence, and more performance. Anthropic is taking a slightly different approach. They're essentially saying, yes, we build something more powerful, but we don't believe everyone should have unrestricted access to it. Whether you agree with that position or not, it's a significant shift in how frontier AI companies are thinking about deployment. The reason Anthropic is being cautious stems largely from concerns about cybersecurity. Earlier Mythos demonstrations reportedly showed remarkable ability to identify software vulnerabilities and security weaknesses. Those demonstrations generated concern amongst governments and technology companies because a system capable of finding vulnerabilities could potentially be used by defenders and attackers. Anthropic concluded that broad public access to those capabilities would be irresponsible, leading to the creation of a more constrained Fable 5 release. This highlights one of the most important strategic questions facing AI companies today. Just because you can release a capability doesn't mean you should. Historically, most technology innovation has followed a fairly straightforward pattern. A company develops a capability and then commercializes it as widely as possible. AI may be changing that equation. We're increasingly seeing companies evaluate not only what their systems can do, but also what they should be allowed to do. Anthropic's Project Glasswing initiative reflects this thinking. Rather than releasing Mythos 5 broadly, the company is providing access through a trusted partner program that includes vetted organizations and researchers. The objective is to gain benefits of advanced AI research while reducing risks associated with unrestricted access. Of course, not everyone is convinced. Almost immediately after launch, critics began questioning both the technology and the messaging. One of the most interesting critiques came from Endor Labs, which conducted independent testing of Claude Fable 5 across 200 real-world coding tasks. Their results painted a more nuanced picture than some of the headline announcements. While Anthropic positioned Fable 5 as a breakthrough model, Endor Labs found that performance was far more mixed than the marketing suggested. According to their tests, Fable 5 achieved around 60% success on functional coding tasks and only 19% on security-focused tasks. Now, it's important to recognize that benchmark results always depend on methodology and testing criteria. Different organizations often measure different things. Nevertheless, the findings highlight a recurring challenge in the AI industry: the gap between benchmark performance and real-world performance. We've seen this repeatedly over the last several years. A model achieves extraordinary results on carefully designed tests, generating headlines and excitement. Then independent researchers evaluate the same model in practical environments and discover a more complicated reality. That doesn't mean the technology isn't impressive. It means technology leaders need to separate marketing claims from operational outcomes. As technology leaders, our job isn't to be impressed by benchmarks. Our job is to understand business value. Can the model improve productivity? Can it reduce costs? Can it improve customer experiences? Can it help employees make better decisions? Those are the questions that matter. Another controversy emerged around Anthropic's handling of restrictions within Fable 5 itself. Users quickly discovered that certain requests appeared to trigger alternative responses. Anthropic later acknowledged that in some situations, sensitive queries were being routed away from Fable 5 and handled by older models such as Opus 4.8. The company subsequently apologized for not communicating these changes clearly enough and admitted it had not struck the right balance between safety and transparency. This is an important lesson for every technology leader. Trust matters. When organizations deploy AI systems, users need clarity about what is happening behind the scenes. If a model is being restricted, filtered, or substituted, people generally want to know. Transparency doesn't eliminate concern, but the lack of transparency often amplifies it. Anthropic's experience demonstrates that even companies with strong reputations for AI safety can face criticism when communications fall short of expectations. But the controversy didn't stop there. Reports also emerged regarding new data retention policies associated with Fable 5. Some enterprise customers expressed concerns after learning that prompts and outputs could be retained for a defined period, even where previous arrangements had offered stricter controls. For businesses operating in regulated industries, data governance and privacy considerations remain major factors when selecting AI platforms. This brings us to a broader strategic issue. As AI models become more capable, organizations increasingly face trade-offs. You might gain access to cutting-edge intelligence, but at the cost of reduced control over data. You might benefit from state-of-the-art reasoning, but face greater compliance complexity. You might unlock unprecedented automation opportunities, but introduce new governance challenges. Technology leadership has always been about balancing competing priorities. AI is simply making those trade-offs more visible. Another fascinating aspect of the Fable 5 launch is the growing debate about open versus closed AI development. Anthropic has defended restrictions as necessary for safety and national security reasons. Critics, however, argue that limiting access also protects commercial interests and makes it more difficult for competitors and open source communities to replicate advanced capabilities. Some observers believe both motivations may be true simultaneously. This debate is unlikely to disappear anytime soon. On one side, there are those who argue that increasingly powerful AI systems should be tightly controlled. On the other side are advocates who believe openness drives innovation, transparency, and accountability. Technology leaders should expect this tension to shape the AI landscape for years to come. Now, let's talk about what all this means for businesses. The most important takeaway isn't whether Claude Fable 5 is the best model in the market. In fact, several analysts have argued that being the most capable model doesn't automatically make it the most useful model. Different organizations have different requirements. Some prioritize cost efficiency, others prioritize speed. Some need advanced reasoning, others need robust security controls. The era of a single dominant AI model may already be ending. We're entering a multimodal world. Forward-thinking organizations are increasingly building AI portfolios rather than AI dependencies. They use one model for coding assistance, another for customer support, another for research, another for data analysis. Just as businesses don't rely on a single software platform for every function, they are unlikely to rely on a single AI model for every single use case. Claude Fable 5 reinforces that trend. It's exceptionally strong in certain areas, but organizations should evaluate it against their specific requirements rather than adopting it simply because it currently sits near the top of the benchmark rankings. The second lesson is that AI governance is becoming a competitive advantage. For years, governance was often viewed as a compliance exercise, something necessary but not strategic. Today, governance is becoming part of the product itself. Anthropic's decision to separate Mythos-5 and Fable-5 is fundamentally a governance decision. The company's safety systems, access controls, and deployment restrictions are now as important as the model architecture itself. Technology leaders expect AI vendors to compete not only on capability, but also on trust, transparency, and governance. The third lesson concerns expectations. Every generation of AI brings extraordinary claims. Some of those claims turn out to be accurate, others prove exaggerated. The most successful technology leaders maintain a healthy balance between enthusiasm and skepticism. They explore emerging capabilities aggressively, they experiment rapidly, but they also validate independently, measure outcomes, and avoid making strategic decisions based solely on vendor announcements. Claude Fable 5 may indeed represent a significant step forward in AI capability. Yet the mixed benchmarking results, ongoing debates around restrictions, and questions about transparency all remind us that no technology is ever as simple as the headline suggests. As we look ahead, the release of Fable 5 and Mythos 5 may ultimately be remembered for something bigger than model performance. It may mark the point where the AI industry openly acknowledge that some capabilities are too powerful to distribute without constraints. Whether that approach proves to be effective remains to be seen. But it signals a future where access, governance, and safety mechanisms become just as important as intelligence itself. And for technology leaders, that means evaluating AI platforms through a much broader lens than performance alone. Capability, security, transparency, governance, and trust all matter. The organizations that succeed with AI of the next decade will be the ones that understand all five. Well, that's all for today. Thanks for tuning in to the Inspiring Tech Leaders podcast. If you've enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your network. You can find more insights, show notes, and resources at www.inspiringtechleaders.com. Head over to the social media channels. You can find Inspiring Tech Leaders on X, Instagram, Inspo, and TikTok. And let me know your thoughts on the announcement of Claude Fable 5. Thanks for listening, and until next time, stay curious, stay connected, and keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible in tech.